Abu Dhabi, endless golden sands, stunning architecture, and a maritime history that is forged into the beautiful Arabian Gulf. It's a SailGP debut here and is part of a new sporting era of world-class events. We're at the business end of Season 4, and every point matters right here for the inaugural Abu Dhabi Sail Grand Prix. Event number 7 of Season 4 is a debut for the host city of Abu Dhabi. Situated on the stunning Arabian Gulf, the world's best sailors will negotiate these waters in an effort to lay claim to the title at the Mubadala Abu Dhabi Sail Grand Prix presented by Abu Dhabi Sports Council. Welcome to the second half of the season, and the time is now to make a move for the 10 national teams vying for the overall title. With a forecast for light winds, getting maximum points in the Middle East will be the ultimate goal. Alongside former world champion Emily Nagel and Olympian Stevie Morrison, I'm Todd Harris. After 6 events in Season 4, it's time the 3-time reigning and defending champion Australians on top with 52 points. Rockwell, Denmark, and New Zealand occupy the next 2 positions, and then it's a logjam of 5 teams separated by only 7 points, with Emirates, Great Britain, and the USA team trying to move into the top 3. The Swiss and the Germans are bringing up the rear. Before we go racing, let's recap what has happened so far in Season 4 of SailGP.
In 6 months, the top 3 teams will race for the final time in San Francisco for the season title and trophy. With crew changes and team takeovers throughout the fleet, the only team you'd bet on staying on top is Australia. The infamous Aussie Tom Slingsby is back after becoming a dad. Rival Jimmy Spithill stepped in and added even more points to their runaway season lead in Dubai. They may well hold the highest average speed this season, but an event win still eludes them. Will it be here that they solidify their overall lead?
We're sailing really well. The team feels like we're getting stronger and stronger and better, and we're really enjoying it this season. It feels like the pressure's kind of off a little bit, which sounds weird, but it's we're sailing free and enjoying ourselves, and for us to stay at the top of the table, we just need to be consistent.
Rockwell, Denmark replaced Nikolai Seherstedt for Nathan Outridge, as the Great Dane is also about to become a dad. Denmark have hit their stride, and it's their best season yet. They hold the highest percentage of flight time and overtake more boats than any other team. Can Nathan keep their rivals at bay and keep them on track for the grand final?
Our goal here is just to get a solid result. We're not trying to do anything stupid or risky. We just want to keep the team progressing in the top 3, because, as Nikolai reminded me, that the ultimate goal is the end of the season. So the message has been passed on, it's been received, and I'm looking forward to doing it my best this weekend.
New Zealand are hot off the back of their Dubai victory just weeks ago. They made their move right when it mattered. This is a perfect example of their tactical efficiency all season. They have sailed the shortest distance on average per race.
Important to keep the momentum going. Obviously, we finished off 2023 well with the win in Dubai. The rest of the season's been quite up and down for us. So probably a little bit of an understatement. Quite a few sort of big mishaps which have set us back, but all in all, we're sailing the boat really well, and the team's focused on 2024 now and finishing off the season strong and giving ourselves a shot to hold that trophy up at the end.
Huge news. Ben Ainsley brings in Giles Scott as driver in a move that has shocked the sailing world.
It's time to let the next generation come through and have their opportunity. And got coming in, we've got a huge talent, one of the best sailors I've ever raced against or sailed with. He's an incredible sailor, but also a great person.
It's fair to say there's a reasonably sizable, set of shoes I'm trying to step into.
New owners for the United States see Jimmy Spithill replaced by Taylor Canfield and a whole new team. He's no stranger to the F50 and showed he's willing to take on established teams with his aggressive style.
Taylor Canfield's going to shut the door.
I think everything that happened in Dubai was for a reason. I respect Ben a lot and the British team, and they've done some great things in SailGP. But yeah, we're out there racing and we're there to win. So we're going to keep pushing hard and take no prisoners.
Outside of the top 5, just 9 points separate France in 8th to New Zealand in 3rd overall. All can change and will here in Abu Dhabi.
3 full fleet races scheduled for today before another 2 on Sunday, and then only the top 3 teams on points will race in the event final to determine the champion in Abu Dhabi. Before we go racing, let's check in with Stevie Morrison for a look at today's course map.
We're above sunny Abu Dhabi, and let's take a look at the race course the teams will have today. A fast start's going to be more important than ever with a tight first turn. After the slalom that takes place to Mark 2, the boats are able to sail their own course, finding the shortest time between gates. At each gate, they can turn left or right. Remember that sailing boats only go fast when they sail at an angle to the wind, so we see them zigzagging their way around the course to give themselves tactical advantage. It's light wind today, so it's a day for the wing trimmers to take the teams to the finish first.
Well, it's a beautiful day for the fans as they get to their seats ready for 3 great races today. Before we go racing, let's check it down on the water. 4th member of our broadcast team, Olympic silver medalist Lisa Darmanin.
Well, it's a beautiful day out here in Abu Dhabi, but unfortunately it's not that windy. But the good news is the wind line has just moved into the bay. We've got winds, they're meant to be averaging around 7 kilometres per hour, gusting to about 15 from the northwest, and the teams are just preparing right now, and the wind is picking up. They're foiling, and they've got the big 29-metre wing to try harness as much power as possible, and they've dropped down to just 4 people on board. So that's just to reduce the weight on the boat and make sure that they can try fly a hull and get on the foil. So the teams have just got out here, they're setting up, and we should be in for an interesting day. These 29-metre wings will create a lot of disturbed wings, so it's going to be a really tricky race course out here, and hopefully the breeze just keeps on increasing.
All right, thank you very much, Lisa. Much more from you as the day progresses, as we continue to hope for big wind, which builds here in Abu Dhabi for the Mubadala Abu Dhabi Sail Grand Prix. As the crowds continue to make their way into the viewing areas and the Adrenaline Lounge, we continue to be optimistic that the wind will arrive and we will be racing soon. However, we are in a delay mode, but if the wind does stay light, the league has options and alternative equipment to keep these high-tech F50s out racing, even in a very light breeze. But again, we're under a slight delay, hopefully racing very soon.
Yeah, when the wind's super light, the boat has less power and we're sailing at much lower boat speeds. So we've got a whole bunch of different configurations we can sail the boat in.
We put on big foils, which have more lifting surface, and we also put on a bigger wing, which also generates more power, which will help us accelerate faster in the lighter air and get up on the foils earlier.
Here we go, we're looking for 30 kilometres an hour to hope to get up on the foils on these boats.
We've got 50 seconds down at the top.
In the lighter airs, we take crew off the boat, and so typically on our team we take the 2 grinders off and we sail the boat with the flight controller, wing trimmer, and the female athlete goes into the grinding role. And that's just to reduce the overall weight, because we're trying to generate as much power as possible, and the heavier the boat and the crew are, the harder it is to get the boat out of the water.
Any little mistake and you lose a little bit too much boat speed in a maneuver and you're going to drop in the water. So as a crew, we've really got to be on our game, trying to really minimize that boat speed loss so that we can keep foiling.
Tough times, Emily. Everyone kind of in a delay mode right now. As a sailor, as a team, what are you doing to get ready for when the call goes?
So the key here is for all the sailors just to stay really focused and heads out of the boat. As Lisa said, there is a wind line coming into the bay now, so the sailors are going to be looking out for where it's developing from, because that will give them an idea of what side of the course might be favoured.
And there you see the German team out getting up on the foils, actually. So this is great news as the wind is building just a little bit, hoping that the wind can fill in on the course, Stevie, and we can see some great racing today because all the teams are keen to actually get out there and show them what they can do. Emirates GBR currently in the hunt to be in a top 3 position. They currently sit in 4th place right now on 38 points, 2 points behind New Zealand, who sit in 3rd. Remember, only the top 3 teams will race in the championship at the end of the season. So 2024 becomes end of the Ainsley era as Ben Ainsley steps aside. Enter in Giles Scott.
I'm coming to the stage of my career where I'm more and more involved with the management of the team, and it's clear that this is a young person's game, and whilst I feel like I'm still relatively at the top of my game, it's time for the next generation to come through and those younger sailors to have the opportunity.
Ben's given me the call up and I'm going to be taking on Emirates GBR. It's a big moment.
Giles is without doubt one of the greatest talents in the sport. He's incredibly mature and level-headed, and I think he will suit this style of racing perfectly.
There's pressure everywhere. I'm stepping in and doing the job that Ben Ainsley's been doing. That's certainly no small thing to take on, and the team as a whole expects excellence, and I hope I'll be able to get there and deliver some goods. I mean, I've got a lot of catch-up to do, that's for sure. A lot of the drivers here have been competing for multiple seasons, and with this circuit, you don't get an awful lot of training time, but one thing I do have is an amazing team. Everybody involved is hugely experienced, top quality sailors, and yeah, I've ultimately got to try and step up to their mark.
I'm not just saying this because we're here in SailGP. It's the best sailing I've ever done in my career. It's by far and away the best. It's so much fun. I've really loved sailing with this group of sailors. We've been through some tough times together, and now the other side. And everyone's always dug deep, given 100%, and you can't ask for any more than that from a sports team. So, yeah, I'll miss being on the water with them, but I won't be far away.
So on the heels of Jimmy Spithill stepping aside, now it's Sir Ben Ainsley. And Stevie, the big question is, was now the right time?
Well, if you'd asked me in the summer, just before Saint-Tropez, I'd have said yes, because he hadn't seemed to perform for a long time, but came back, Saint-Tropez, Taranto, 1-2 on the bounce. So clearly he's still got the skills, but I think it is important we start getting new athletes out there and racing. They've got to upskill it. It's a completely different game. Hydrofoil boats, fast racing, short courses, there's a lot to learn. If you think of Hannah Mills and you put it in an Olympic context, it's like asking a 1500 metre runner to go and do the 100 metres and expect them to win off the bat. For Hannah, for Giles, new to the sport, they've got to get time in there, they've got to get time on the water, and that's what SailGP needs to do. Get these female athletes, get the new younger sailors on the water in the F50 learning.
And that is what we've finally started to see. In Dubai, we had our first all-female crew out on the water practicing, and we've seen that again here in Abu Dhabi. So they are slowly gaining these skills that they need, and hopefully that will mean in the future that the teams aren't going to outside hires every time they have to replace someone, whether that's for an event or long-term, and we can start to see the teams call up on people from within their rosters and really give all of those Women's Pathway Programme sailors an opportunity to take the wheel. SailGP are also working really hard to inspire the next generation, and here in Abu Dhabi we have the largest Inspire programme so far, with 1,500 young sailors coming through the programme and getting experience with foiling.
And there's plenty of talent certainly on the women's side, with names like Hannah Mills, Tosh Bryant, Joe Allais, all capable at some point at taking the wheel of one of these F50s. So the future certainly is bright at SailGP Season 4 as change continues to be the norm, with Sir Ben Ainsley stepping aside. Much more from Abu Dhabi in a moment. Well, the key to successfully sailing these foiling F50 catamarans is teamwork. Anywhere from a 4-, 5-, or 6-person crew can manage, but in order to be the most efficient, each crew member has to be spot on when it comes to executing their role in a timely manner and under tremendous pressure out on the water in varying conditions.
Maneuvering the F50 is extremely difficult. It's a massive coordination effort. If one person is not proactive, then their job and everyone else's gets much harder. The driver is the leader and makes the final call in the balance of the boat in the pursuit of maximum speed. The balance is delicate, and the driver does this because they can sense and feel the most through the wheel. The wing trimmer harnesses the power of the wind with the F50 wing sail in the most efficient way possible. It's like a door. You close it for more power and open it for less. Create too much power and you capsize. Create too little power and you fall off the foils. The flight controller's goal is to find the optimum height to make the boat perform, constantly making changes to keep the boat flying. Get caught out of sync and it's like sailing an uncontrollable roller coaster. There are two grinders. Their job is to provide the power that turns the winch for the wing trimmer, as well as provide tactical support. While the grinders need to be strong and fit, providing that tactical information while your heart rate maxed out is no easy task. The driver doesn't have a lot of time to look around, so they make decisions based on the information they're getting from their strategist. The strategist paints a picture of the whole race course for the driver to see. The skill of a strategist is to know when to say what, and those big decisions could be the difference between winning and losing. Ultimately, the better each person becomes in their position, the stronger, calmer and more intuitive a team becomes, meaning they can focus less on making the boat go fast and more on racing and winning.
Our thanks to Lisa Darmanda defining those crew roles as we see Rockwell, Denmark, as racing has been delayed, waiting for the wind to fill in. That gives us an opportunity to go down on the water with Lisa as she checks in with some of the teams, starting off with Rockwell, Denmark, and Nathan Outridge.
Well, Nathan, you've had one practice day under your belt, but how good does it feel to be back in the command of an F50?
Yeah, it's really good to be back here at SailGP. It's been a year and a half since I've driven in a race, so had to shake off a bit of a rust yesterday in the training session, and breeze is just starting to come in nicely, so looking forward to racing today.
Looks like it's slowly building, but obviously Stevie loves to call you the wind whisperer. Do you think you'll be finding some good gusts out here today?
I can only hope so. It's a tricky venue from what we saw yesterday, and the breeze is coming in quite nicely, so hopefully we can sniff out a few good little puffs and get off the start line today.
And you haven't sailed with this team before, but are you guys gelling nicely?
Yeah, it's all going really well. Nikolai's done a great job putting a really solid team together. Everyone knows their job, knows their role, and after doing one-day training yesterday, it was good to actually have a good discussion, bit of a debrief, because it's hard to really talk much about sailing together when you've never done it. So last night was pretty important.
And just quickly, what's going to be the key of doing well today?
I think with this double reaching course that we have, the start becomes really critical. So, you know, we're on the wrong side of that a few times yesterday, and I'm sure the fleet will change a bit today, but the start's going to be super critical, and we're hoping to get off the line in good shape.
We'll let you go set up. Thanks for chatting. Cheers.
Slight race delay as we wait for the wind to build in as we get ready for event number 7 of season number 4. This is the Mubadala Abu Dhabi Sail Grand Prix presented by Abu Dhabi Sports Council as we await 3 fleet races on the day. SailGP's documentary series Racing on the Edge takes a deeper dive into the 29-meter wing collapse that ended New Zealand's event early, back in event 3, Saint-Tropez.
When the mast broke, the audio and the video cut straight away, so I had no idea what actually happened. So then I just got on the phone and rang the chase boat.
When you have a structural failure of components, I guess the consequences can be, you know, the absolute worst. We were incredibly lucky to go through an incident like that and have everyone safe. Is something that, you know, we're incredibly thankful for.
I wanted to get everyone together because we've been yesterday going through all of the data on the wing failure and all of the videos and so forth. And I decided that basically tomorrow You guys can decide whether you use the 29-metre wing or the 24-metre wing. You're gonna have to make that decision by 6 o'clock tonight. Up to you guys. Thank you.
I mean, Russell's got a pretty good point that the show is with the 24-metre wing. So, I mean, we all need a good show to keep this league going, right? We're going 29s.
We got told we're using the 29-metre wing again. The last time we used that was when it came down in Saint-Tropez. You know, it'd be easy to sit here and say, oh no, that stuff, you just put it behind you and you move on. That's not the case. That's rattled us at times as a team.
All eyes on New Zealand, the first race with the 29-metre wing since the Saint-Tropez incident.
Advantage New Zealand. Oh, there's going to be protests here, Todd.
This is the umpires. Penalty Canada. Who's going to have the pressure to win it? Officially, the Emirates winning moment going to New Zealand, taking the win at the Emirates Dubai Sail Grand Prix. Well, the wind may be a bit light here in Abu Dhabi at the present time, but just a few weeks ago and a short distance away, the racing in Dubai was exciting and not lacking for drama. While we have a moment, let's revisit the action from Event 6 and the Dubai Sail Grand Prix.
And we go out of the middle of the line. It's Switzerland, but Canada, the fast-charging Canadians with Phil Robertson steering's done well.
Race number 1 goes the way of the Canadians.
Wow, that's no room for the Germans. So back to protest here. It looks like they're over the line early anyway.
This is the umpires. Germany, you've been disqualified.
Oh, Germany gets the black flag. Jimmy Spithill now the skipper for Australia, taking over for just this event.
What happens if Jimmy wins here?
I know. Jimmy Spithill in Australia winning race number 2.
French are in good shape. Whoa, look at this. Look at that. Dip it. Oh, they pushed it too hard.
Definitely not the result that the French were looking for.
Looks like it could have a lead change here. Great Britain first to manoeuvre, but the British are ahead.
And your Emirates winning moment goes the way of Emirates Great Britain as they get the win in the 3rd and final race of the day. That winner will be crowned today on the Persian Gulf. Emirates GBR back in front.
You better make this call right, Ben.
It is Emirates GBR that gets the win.
Wow, that was aggressive.
GBR, you're disqualified.
Oh, no!
The boat not keeping clear.
Big call.
Canada SailGP wins the 5th race.
Canada have got to give room to Australia and to New Zealand. Oh, there's going to be protests here, Todd.
And it is going to be tight at the corner.
Incredible scenes here.
Canada crosses the line first, but they had a penalty to get rid of. It was Australia who was in 2nd place who had the right of way, but it was the Kiwis taking the win at the Emirates Dubai Sail Grand Prix. And that was just a few weeks ago as New Zealand back in the mix. The Kiwis currently sitting 3rd place overall in 40 points, 1 point back of Rockwell, Denmark, and Australia at 52. The talk during the holiday break in the sailing world was the incredible finish of the Dubai Sail Grand Prix event, and the topic was still generating a strong hot takes and opinions.
Congratulating you on success in Dubai. What a heck of a finish that was. Give us your reaction a few weeks on from it.
Yeah, looking back on it, what an amazing finish to come back in. I was actually a little nervous with how close the boat 3 wide, I think Phil it was going to end up to the wall.
I was scared we were going to be on the wall, and I actually didn't think 3 boats were going to fit that wide, and I'm sure no one envisioned that situation happening, but it happened, and we were there, and you know, in my view where I was sitting, we were probably okay, but you go and look at the umpire app and the view that they have, and it's completely different. And whether that's right or wrong, that's to be debated.
I can see lots of different arguments there. Peter didn't get a penalty at the end from the Australian laugh because he was close to the finish line, whereas that sort of leniency wasn't given to Phil being so close to hitting a wall. He was still given a penalty in that situation, so you can see it go either way.
I'll come to you, Giles. How are you settling in, my friend?
It's a tricky spot to come in and take on this driver role halfway through a season, and I think
I'm certainly green. I've got a lot to learn, and for me, I've just got to try and make that learning process as rapid as I possibly can.
Is SailGP, with this new influx of younger guys, does it bode well for the future?
To be frankly honest, I think some of the younger generation haven't stepped up to the plate as much as they could have, and they've got to prove it. If you are the next generation, you've got to prove why you're the best in the world, and you've got to knock us older guys off the perch, and it's exciting to see what's going to happen. The young guys have the opportunity. They're out here, they've got a boat to drive in SailGP, the top sailing league in the world, and they've got to take that opportunity with both hands or they'll be replaced.
Right, Nathan, welcome back. Great to see you. How excited are you to be jumping into the Danish boat for this weekend?
No, thanks. It's good to be back. And we don't get much time to sail these boats. You know, we're all sitting here talking to you, but all we want to do is go in the water right now and do some training. And the Danish team's done a great job of just using the time very effectively and, you know, hanging out with the guys yesterday. You can see everyone is confident in their abilities and their skills, and they don't want to sit there and talk forever. They just want to like get on with the job. So, you know, there's a lot of good things happening within the team, and I just hope I remember how to drive a boat and do a good job this weekend.
So lots of talking points here at the press conference at Abu Dhabi. No Jimmy Spithill, no Ben Ainsley. Welcome back Tom and Nathan Outteridge, and we welcome Giles Scott to SailGP as we get ready to go racing. In a few moments here, it'll be 3 races scheduled on the day. So the team's getting themselves into positions, checking everything out, making sure everything is ready and all systems are go. Team USA currently in 5th place right now in the overall standings and 35 points. They're 3 back from Emirates GBR, and of course everyone trying to get in those top 3 positions, so that puts them 5 points back of New Zealand. Short time ago, Lisa Darmana down on the water with the Americans.
Well, Taylor, the wind has just come in. I know you guys are trying to prepare, so thanks for chatting, but how are you feeling of race day nerves or no worries?
No, feeling confident, ready to go. A little bit different breeze than yesterday and the day before, so we're just getting used to it out here, but looking forward to it. We're ready to go, fired up.
And Victor, a new wing trimmer to the fleet, but you got this beast of a 29-meter wing. How's it going for you?
It's going really well. It's really exciting for me, and really excited to sail today. We've been looking at a lot of data and video, and yeah, looking forward to putting it together today.
And we can't see it, but it's just under here, right? So you've got a toggle and a pad to be able to control everything?
Yeah, you can actually see it if you want to put the camera right here. I got 14 buttons to control, and sometimes remembering where they are is tricky, but getting more comfortable day by day, so yeah.
And is there plenty of chat between you and Victor to try promote that hull up and then that foiling?
Yeah, for sure. It's tricky, and we're in transitional conditions today, so picking the modes is going to be the name of the game, I think. And yeah, we learned a lot in Dubai from kind of similar conditions, so we're feeling more confident this time.
Well, thanks for chatting. I know you guys were going to prepare for the start, so have a really good day and enjoy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lisa. See ya.
Well, with numbers and stats constantly being tossed around, sometimes the most basic aspects of racing can get lost in the data. With that in mind, here's an easy breakdown on how SailGP scores the races and creates a path to the championship. At the end of the season, the winning team will lift the SailGP Season 4 Championship trophy and claim their share of $7 million. But how does it all work? Our scoring system awards points for each race that teams compete in across a race event. The top 3 teams with the most points will face off at the event final. One final race in order to determine who takes the event title and battle it out for maximum points towards the season standings. 10 to the winner, 9 for second, and 8 for third. 4th to 10th place are awarded season points based on their position from only the fleet races. These points are crucial for the season-long championship leaderboard. The championship leaderboard is recalculated after each event, and the 3 highest-ranked teams at the end of the season qualify for the winner-take-all grand final. case you're wondering, after 6 events, the standings look like this. It is Australia, the 3-time reigning and defending champions, on top with 52 points. Rockwell, Denmark sitting in second with 41. Then New Zealand 1 point back, top 3 right now. Emirates, GBR, United States, Spain, Canada, France, Switzerland, and Germany. Well, after missing the last event in Dubai for the birth of his son, Tom Slingsby is back at the wheel for the 3-time defending champions with some unfinished business.
It's great being a new dad. Fortunately, my wife gave birth to a very healthy little boy, Leo, and my wife's healthy, and yeah, it's obviously an adjustment, but as everyone can attest to, it's a pretty amazing moment and feeling, and yeah, it's a big change for us. I've already had the question so many times, like, am I going to change? Is my attitude on the water going to change? Is it going to still mean a lot? Honestly, I don't see that changing. Obviously, my family is #1 for me in the world, and they were before this, but now we've just got a new addition, and I'm just excited for that. But on the water, I don't see much changing. Missing the Dubai event and Jimmy filling in for me, that's the first day I've actually missed in SailGP's history. And yeah, it's tough watching from the sidelines, I've got to say. To just make the final, I thought that was awesome, and then such an exciting finish, could have gone either way.
And look how close they are!
Dive on the inside!
Just meters away as they come to the finish line. Who's going to have the pressure to win it?
It's amazing for him, a sort of swan song in his last couple of events. I think it's typical Jimmy fashion. He always lands on his feet. Honestly, I see this as a danger event for us. For me, this is the last really light air venue on paper of the season, and that's my weakest point as a sailor. So I look at this and I get worried a little for this venue and this type of racing, because if you don't get off the start lines well, or if you're not totally clicked into the conditions, I think this could be an event where you could easily give up quite a few points. So I just really want to get through here unscathed and with a good result, and I'd be happy.
So, Steve, we haven't seen Tom Slingsby at the wheel in a while. Do you anticipate any ring rust for the 3-time defending champion?
Well, I think yesterday in training he looked a little bit rusty and he wasn't quite where he was, and as he says, he's coming back to what has historically been his weakness. But as they said, it's all about, often it's good to make mistakes on practice day, take the learnings, and I'm sure they will be up there because we know they can compete.
So Tom Slingsby back at the wheel. The Kiwis, they are set to go. Peter Burling at the wheel as they are the winners of the last event. And Lisa Darmanin just a short time ago catching up with the Kiwis. Can they make it 2 wins in a row with Peter Burling at the helm?
Well, Pete and Liv, it's so tough out here. I think you're normally the strategist, but you're going to be up the front grinding. Does that mean Pete's got a bit more to do?
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be a pretty dynamic day out there, but luckily we've got Josh and Ray in the coach's booth to help us out, and then everyone on board, so it's going to be good. Excited to get into it.
And they are in the coaching booth. Do you think that they will be able to jump into your comms and let you know what's going on, or you got it covered, Pete?
Oh, I think it's what everyone's been working on over the last couple of events, is how to utilise the booth, and now they're a massive help in these 4-up conditions. Yeah, everyone ends up pretty busy on board, especially when you're starting to foil like we've seen a fair few boats around doing, and hopefully get a couple more knots, and we can be foiling around this beautiful racecourse.
Well, Liv, you've got to be super dynamic. Obviously, you normally are at the back, and now you'll be grinding on the pedestal, this big 29-metre wing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that you get to change around positions, but I think everyone has really mixed things up, so it's good. We've worked a lot on it and really like these conditions, so we're excited for today.
Awesome. Well, good luck, and hopefully the wind keeps building. Yeah. Cheers, guys.
So it is the Kiwis, the winner of the last event. They won at the Emirates Dubai Sail Grand Prix presented by P&O Marinas. It was New Zealand, Australia, and Canada, the top 3. And here we are just down the road in Abu Dhabi as we are now 3 minutes away to race start. And now the most important question everyone wants to know is, what are the conditions going to be for the 3 races scheduled for today? For that, we go back down to the water. Lisa, what do you know? Give us some good news.
Well, the good news is that we've still got wind. The difficult thing is that it's really going to be a balance between that H1 mode where they pull one hull out of the water and reduce drag. There have been some boats foiling in the practice run, so I am very hopeful that we'll see that, but it's going to be super difficult with all the disturbed wind around the racetrack. I think as we've seen in practice, that first boat to Mark 1, 1 and 2 are going to really stretch their legs, but that battle in the mid-pack is where the entertainment will be for us. But to me, the best breeze is near the adrenaline lounge, near the crowd, so hopefully plenty of flybys for the crowd that has lining the shores there, but going to be a very difficult day.
All right, thank you, Lisa. Much more from you as the day progresses. Again, we've got 3 fleet races for the entire 10 international fleet, as we are now 2 minutes away after a lengthy wind delay, Stevie. They're now set to go racing, and you know these world-class athletes are ready to do battle out on the water. There's the coaches area. They are now off the water, on shore, all in the same area. Race management ready to give the word, Stevie. It's got to be a lot of nerves out there.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of nerves because I think it's going to be high scoring. It's light winds out there, and as Lisa said, we've got this slalom start, so they're going to go to Mark 1, and then they do nearly a 180-degree turn back towards the fans on the shoreline, and that's going to turn it into a lot of pressure on this start line, an awful lot of pressure. So really, first and second Mark 1 and 2, you're probably gone. You're probably away, should win the race, but if you're in the pack, it's going to be a dogfight.
It's certainly going to be difficult, and as we can see, the box for this starting area is really small, so they don't actually have that much of a run-up, 150 meters from the back of the box to the line.
It's simple. You can't cross the red line until the clock goes 0. We are now 1 minute away from the start of race number 1. 10 points for each race to the winner, Stevie, and a lot of prize money. Remember, $2 million, $7 million for the whole season, so there's a lot of cash and a big trophy at the end of the day.
There's a lot to be done, and I think this start's going to be so crucial.
Penalty Germany relative New Zealand, windward boat not keeping clear.
Oh, disaster for the Germans. They're out the back already then with that. They're going to have to start behind the fleet here to clear that penalty off. Now, look at this. These F-50s are lined up. Denmark controlling things towards this upwind end of the line. He gives himself a safer situation, hopefully, to not be in the disturbed air. In this light winds, the disturbed air is a far bigger problem. It's going to roughly knock 4 kilometers an hour off the wind speed. That's a huge thing when there's only 10 kilometers an hour of wind around. Canada dive through the middle. Late run by Phil Robertson. How's he found a gap in there? Denmark at the top of the line. Watch for the line to turn white. It's going to be Denmark, Canada out the middle. Watch for that line to turn white. And we're going to be racing here in Abu Dhabi. Oh, it's New Zealand. Brilliant acceleration from the Kiwis. They've jumped off that start line. Denmark at the top of the line. Nathan said he'd been working on his starting. They're going to have a slower angle into Mark 1 than New Zealand, but I think Denmark and New Zealand are going to be fighting for first at Mark 1, and this could be crucial with Slingsby hanging on the inside.
So better speeds than possibly we anticipated just 30 minutes ago as they approach mark number 1. You've got New Zealand, you've got Australia on the inside, and you've got Denmark on the outside.
Crucial here, if Australia can hold on to an overlap with Australia, then they can own the mark. Can Australia get in there overlapped? It's really tight. Slingsby doesn't think so. First going to be New Zealand, second for Australia, and Denmark on the outside. It could get hard for them from here.
Wing down out of this, guys. Hold up.
Now on that first leg there, we're seeing the Kiwis doing 28 kilometers an hour, so that's too slow to get foiling, but it is right on the edge.
It's the magic number, Todd. 29 kilometers an hour, 30 kilometers an hour. You'd hope to foil. But here we go, they're heading now. Another reaching leg. They're going to sail back across the wind towards the Fan on the shoreline, and it's advantage to those first 2 boats. 3 boats, really, they've stretched away. Look at the pack, bottom of our screen. USA, Spain, France, Canada and Switzerland tied together by a piece of string, and there's really not much wind there. Germany have got no rights to dive inside here. They should go round last, but will there be opportunity with Spain looking really slow? Will the Germans be aggressive and try and cut the corner inside?
One here if you want, I'm going to go down. Okay, I'd say we're going past these guys a little bit, Eric. Yeah. And stay in breeze. No one's on ley line.
Okay, that
stay in
answers
breeze
the
behind,
question.
and hopefully we get the inside on the next zone.
Stuart Biffle here, he's planning ahead here.
On board with the Germans.
And the Kiwis there starting to look good. H1 mode, so that's one hull up in the air, and they're stretching that lead.
Look at them stretch away, Todd. They're in clear wind. They've probably got 3-4 kilometers an hour more wind. That's going to be potentially 6-7 kilometers an hour more boat speed.
Coming over to you. 6-7 kilometers an hour more wind. That's going to be potentially 6-7 kilometers an hour more wind. That's going to be potentially 6-7 kilometers an hour more wind. That's going to be potentially 6-7 kilometers an hour more wind. That's going to be potentially 6-7 kilometers an hour more wind. That's going to be potentially 6-7 kilometers an hour more wind. That's going to be potentially 6-7 kilometers an hour more wind. That's going to be potentially 6-7 kilometers an hour more wind. That's going to be potentially 6-7 kilometers an hour more wind. That's going to be potentially 6-7 kilometers an hour more wind. That's going to be potentially 6-7 kilometers an hour more wind. That's going to be potentially 6-7 kilometers an hour more wind. That's going to be potentially 6-7 kilometers an hour more wind. That's going to be potentially 6-7 kilometers an hour more wind. That's going to be potentially 6-7
And this is that new look, that slalom kind of look as you go to mark number 1, then turning right back to gate number 2, and then it's on to the normal race course here in Abu Dhabi. So a little bit of a change on things, and it is Peter Burling and the Kiwis first out, and they have got, as we've said before, Stevie, the clean air and plenty of room to work.
Big speed, of course. When you're just sailing in a straight line, there's no tactical advantage. You've only really got the thing of trying to trim your wing, trim your sails as efficiently as possible. But if you've got less wind because you're behind them and in their disturbed wind, you just can't hope to go as fast. So for New Zealand and their fans, it's great news. Australia, Slingsby, has he left the door open for Giles Scott on board Emirates GBR? Looks like he might. Oh, here we go. Protest coming from Slingsby. He's got no room in there on board Great Britain.
Swimming down.
Be a penalty, but he should just have to drop back behind Emirates Great Britain, so this won't be too... Emirates will have to drop back behind Australia, sorry, so it shouldn't be too big a penalty. I think what's great here, Todd, Giles Scott, right-hand side of the screen, is driving. He can't actually see through that solid wheel towards Australia, so he's asking Ian Jensen and Luke Parkinson on the other side of the boat, where are the other guys so I don't crash into it?
So still no penalty coming for Emirates GBR as Australia maintains that second position. It's New Zealand, Australia, Great Britain, Denmark, and Switzerland, the top 5.
I think because they never quite overtook and they dropped back quite quickly behind, the penalty was instantly absolved. That's the penalty in SailGP, is you just need to drop back behind the person you've infringed again. It all cleared up pretty quickly for them. But here we go, New Zealand, they're choosing to turn right. Lisa said there was more wind in towards the fans in the adrenaline lounge there. But the problem with that is it's another manoeuvre and you're going to sail through the disturbed wind from the fleet. So New Zealand, well, there's a simple saying in sailing, keep it simple, stupid. And when you're out in front, it's an awful lot easier to keep it simple than it is for those other boats in the pack. But the Kiwis are doing a very, very nice job of that at the moment. That's a big lead at gate 3.
Not the biggest speeds we've seen in the SailGP, but right now the Kiwis have picked the right lane and they've got that start. And every skipper we talked to, Stevie, said the start is going to be massive. Emily, they did exactly what they had to do. They timed it perfectly at the line.
And not only did they have a brilliant start, but the thing that we've noticed with the Kiwis when we've looked back over the data from this season so far is that they excel with this 29-meter wing. Despite breaking it earlier in the season, when they are racing with this wing, we typically see them sail the shortest amount of distance compared to all of the other teams. Now, part of that is because they sail this high, slow mode, so that means they're sailing closer to the wind, but at a slower speed. They also seem to be tactically superior in this. They really find all those shifts that they need.
Australia getting awfully close at a snail's pace, albeit, Stevie, but Australia and Rockwell, Denmark, probably getting a little closer than race management want.
Well, Australia had the right way, and I think the thing to remember in this light wind is you steer the boat with a rudder underneath the bottom of the boat. Now, if there's no water going around that because you're moving really slow, it's hard to steer, so it's really, really hard to turn the boat. Tricky situation for Denmark. Great Britain did have the right of way there, so I wouldn't, again, there's a lot of incidents taking place here. It'll be interesting to see if Denmark gets away with that move. Top of screen, Canada, they turn left. Up to second place, the Canadians. Could be a good move for Phil Robertson here. Done a great job of finding space. Look in the pack. Oh, my Lord. It's such slow motion. Denmark, yeah, they get a penalty. That's versus Great Britain. That's going to be really costly. They had to give room for Great Britain to go inside. They just couldn't avoid it. They're going so slowly out there at the moment. These tactical decisions take place a long way in advance. Denmark, first to turn away, trying to get rid of that penalty.
They also have to be so careful not to cause contact because the rules in SailGP are pretty strict when it comes. If there's contact, it's not just a penalty in the race, you can end up with penalty points.
Well, that's a great point, Emily, because actually it's worth mentioning that in training yesterday, the Swiss did have contact and they've actually started the racing here with -4 points for that penalty point. So that's something that we'll see when we get to the scores in a minute, Todd. You won't need to be too confused when you see that on the board. But yeah, Australia, they're stretching away. Denmark find themselves back in the pack after a great start.
And meanwhile, back up at the top, the Kiwis are already rounding the next gate, sailing at 20 kilometers an hour.
The rich keep getting richer, and right now the wealthy are the Kiwis as they are in front already through the next gate, heading back in. they could possibly lap some teams, Stevie, as they make their way down the left side of the course on your screen. Of course, SailGP powered by Mother Nature. Mother Nature right now in a bit of a finicky move, not providing the pressure they need, but they're making the most of it, going in that H1 mode, flying that hole.
Well, look, 12 kilometers an hour of wind, and they're up at 28 kilometers an hour. It's incredible the efficiency of these boats when they're in space. But we saw how when the boats were clustered together and there's very little wind, they're barely moving, find yourself some space, and this Kiwi boat's absolutely flying along. But for Pete Burling, Blair Tuke, Liv Mackay, they're going to be very, very happy with what they see. And probably the coaches on the shore right now, Ray Davis, Josh Jr., aren't going to be having to say too much to them other than well done.
It's good for
Canada up to second here, Todd. That's a great move from a mid-pack position to get themselves up into second.
Like 5 of 6, as the majority of the fleet will make the turnaround gate number 4, then it's back down to the course, and then the left-hand turn to the finish line as a nice tight crossing there between Canada and Australia, as the Canadians, under the guise of Phil Robertson, currently sitting in second place. Remember, they finished in 3rd at the last event down in Dubai.
I just feel they're real confident sailors on that Canadian team as well. When they're on fire, they're absolutely on fire here. The German crew, they'll be looking for a good result. Sat in the pack, 5th place. 3rd for Australia, 4th for France, but look how tight it is. Switzerland, they have the right of way here. Germany have got to be careful. Great Britain have got to keep clear. Denmark are going to be able to spin inside. They've somehow managed to keep themselves in the race on board the Danish boat after that penalty at the bottom gate. It's so congested in the pack, but these points from 5th to 9th are absolutely crucial. When we look at the end of the weekend, it will be which teams can convert an 8th into a 6th and gain those 2 points. Hopefully, a lot of the teams will get their chance of winning. Back round, look at the speed. One hubble up in the air on board Emirates Great Britain, nearly double the speed. They're going to roll over the top of Denmark. But tactically, is that going to work out for them? Sailing more distance on Emirates Great Britain right now, but they're sailing at an awful lot faster.
Meanwhile, at the bottom of the course, it is the Kiwis who have made the turn for the finish line as the rest of the fleet tries to track them down. It won't happen in race number 1. They'll have their opportunities in races 2 and 3. But as they slowly approach the finish line, the story of this race has been the start. Absolutely nailing it are the Kiwis, and the winners of the last event. Peter Burling and company will move on, and they will claim race number 1 of the Mubadala Abu Dhabi Sail Grand Prix.
And just behind them, we've got the Australians and Canadians coming towards that final mark. Now, they split around that top gate, so taking opposite sides on that final leg. And it looks like it's benefited the Australians going in close to shore by the adrenaline.
Canada's got one hull up here, Emily. It's going to be tight. The Canadian boat's faster at the minute, but the Australian boat's got the right of way. Australia, tactical advantage, but Canada's going to try and go around the outside. I hope Phil Robertson's not talking to me there.
Good at the moment. He's slow, right, Philippe? How slow is he?
Oh, did you hear that, Todd? That's Phil Robertson asking his coach about the tactical situation. Philippe Fresti's on shore, looking at the computer screen, showing where the boats are relative to each other. Phil's able to press a button, talk to his coach. Incredible, the technology out here as he now tries to shoot round the outside.
And Stevie, because he has more speed, he's able to avoid getting the penalty, and he can go right around Tom Slingsby.
Yeah. Round the outside, round the outside. Great move by the Canadians there, and just so interesting to hear him actually communicating with his coach mid-race in a massive tactical situation. It's a pretty unique feature.
Well, the top 3 finishers in race number 1 here in Abu Dhabi were the same 3 that finished in the final in Dubai, and it is Canada that will take second place.
Oh, Todd, it's a penalty
comes on.
Wow. Penalty, they obviously think that they gave not enough room to Australia to make the turn. Well, that's going to certainly raise an eyebrow from Phil Robertson.
Nice work, guys. Wow, we've got to stand here.
Oh, Phil is not happy with that one, but as he says, he'll drop back behind Australia, so still a great result. Look at the pack here. France, they've worked up to 4th. On the inside of this time, it's Denmark. They this time have the right of way on Emirates Great Britain. Nathan Outridge, well, he's scrapped pretty hard in this race to stay in position number 4 as it sits at the moment. It's all going to come down to the re-acceleration after this mark. Straight line drag race with Great Britain and Denmark, but I think the Danish are in pole position, and the Germans, well, they might get a chance to overtake Emirates Great Britain as well. Look at that. People are happy with a 3rd or a 4th in this condition because they're so easy to get a finish right at the back of the pack. Denmark, well, they've done well. That could have easily been a disaster after the penalty at gate 3.
So Nathan Outeridge filling in for the great Dane. Nikolai Sehested steers the Danes into a top 5 position after France finishes in 4th. And now the race is on for 6th place. And it looks like the Germans are just going to edge past Emirates GBR.
Just re-accelerated quicker, a little bit closer to the wind. They got the next gust of wind before Emirates Great Britain. Switzerland.
Watch out in the coach booth, do not keep your mic on because we hear everything behind.
The Swiss come through in 8th. The USA will grab 9th, and Spain will grab 10th.
Disappointing for Spain, that one,
Yeah.
Todd. I'd like to think of them as a light wind specialist. Tom Slingsby alluded to it. This is potentially one of the last light wind events of the year. Spain really need points. They look so good early season. They've had a mid-season blip, and that's not the way to start this event for them.
Spain currently in 6th place overall. The winners in Los Angeles months ago. They currently sit on 33 points, but here they find themselves dead last in 10th. So the debrief is now on. It's going to be a short turnaround for race number 2, but the big winners in this one, New Zealand. They get out to a great start, and they stay away from the rest of the crowd as they take the win ahead of Australia and Canada, the top 3.
So as we can see today, that start is critical. Now the Canadians came into that with a parking lot of boats in front of them. They spotted a gap and threaded the needle. Luckily, because everyone was moving so slowly, they were managed to weave through and gain a decent start. But it was the Kiwis and the Danish that really stole the show here. Close to the line, not heaps of speed, but still faster than the boats below. New Zealand, 3 meters off of the line, but it was just enough to get to Mark 1 first and hold that lead the whole way round.
Well, and how important being at Mark 1 first is. It just gives you that advantage of sailing in clear wind, and if you're in clear wind, you've got more wind. We talked about it a little bit in the pre-start, but those boats stuck back in the pack. If you're in the disturbed wind of the boat in front of you, you can estimate that you're losing 4 kilometers an hour of wind. That's the wind is our horsepower. You're losing nearly half your horsepower when there's only this light breeze, and you can see in the pack there, barely any breeze. It's just an absolute fight. So the big lesson today, how do I get clear air? How do I get maximum horsepower to get my boat going as fast as possible if you want to take the race win?
Now, it's pretty obvious looking at these numbers why the Kiwis won that race. Average speed, 18.6 kilometers an hour, while second place Australia down at 15.9. They also sailed the shortest distance and sailed the least number of maneuvers. The Aussies sailed in a slightly different mode, more maneuvers, hence why their speed was down, but clearly spotted some good shifts that managed to get them round and do the overtakes when necessary. Little disappointing for the Canadians, sailing really well, but losing out on that final penalty.
Right now we send it down on the water, and Lisa Darmanin with the winners of race number 1.
Well, Peter, you made that look pretty easy. What was the trick?
Well, I think with this new course, if you get off the line, makes your life pretty easy. Yeah, spend so much time reaching at the beginning that everyone just has to follow you. But yeah, it was just awesome work by the group, getting a good H1 and a good acceleration off the line to just get over the Aussies into Mark 1, and that made our life pretty easy from there.
Once you get H1 and then you've got to turn a corner, it looks pretty painful. Is that how it feels like on the boat?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to be foiling around Mark 1 instead of H1, but yeah, it is what it is. Everyone's playing with the same tools, and yeah, it's great to get off to a good start this weekend.
I'm sure you weren't looking back too far, but there's plenty going on from 2nd to 10th, so it must be nice to have some clear air.
Yeah, it definitely looked like Canada and Australia managed to do a really nice job of controlling each of the gates at the bottom and then just extending away from there. So it feels like if you're back in the pack, it's going to be a pretty long race. So we'll be trying to get off the line again.
All right, well, I'm sure you like to keep it clean. Everything's busy, so I'll let you debrief, and good luck.
Thank you.
Race number 2 from Abu Dhabi is coming up shortly. You're watching the Mubadala Abu Dhabi Sail Grand Prix presented by Abu Dhabi Sports Council.
Well, that was the end of race 1. I'm out here on the water in this iconic port of Mina Zayed, and the weather just couldn't be better. I'm so happy to be here. The sun is out, it's super warm, and I mean, as you can see right behind me, we have the grandstands, which are completely sold out. The fans are in every single seat, and they're going crazy because they're seeing all 10 boats, and I mean, this venue is just beautiful. You have the iconic Abu Dhabi city line right here, and there's not many places in the world where the city is right on the water. Now, we were just attached with the winning boat, New Zealand, and I think that race was a perfect example of why the starts are so important. Because if you can, in this light air, there's so much dirty, disrupted wind coming off the wings that when you're at the pre-start, where all 10 boats are lined up within meters of each other, a lot of bad air coming off the wings. And if you're stuck in a pack, then you're going to be left in the back. And it's the boats that are able to find clean air. They're the ones that are able to get out in front and make whatever decisions they want to. Basically, the rich get richer. And that's exactly what happened with the New Zealand team. They got that easy win. And yeah, everything was in their favor in that race. The Canadians also had a really great race. I mean, the last event in Dubai, they had a wonderful event result. So maybe their new wing trimmer, Paul Campbell-James, has something to do with that. So I'm sure they're really happy with that result. The wind is still pretty light, but it's definitely coming in a bit stronger right now. And yeah, they all have their 29-meter wings on, and they're just crawling back toward the start line where they're going to start their next race really soon.
One race completed, the Mubadala Abu Dhabi Sail Grand Prix, presented by Abu Dhabi Sports Council. Todd Harris, Stevie Morrison, Emily Nagel, and Lisa Darmanin with you. This is event number 7 of season 4 as we've made the turn for the second half of this season in 2024. Before we go forward, let's go back and have a look at the best moments in 2023 as SailGP continued to bounce around the country and bounce around the world to hit some of the most iconic sailing spots anywhere, searching out for the breeze and letting Mother Nature power SailGP with the world's best sailors in the foiling F50 catamarans. A little history made in Christchurch as Phil Robertson will steer Canada to their first SailGP victory, and it comes at the ITM New Zealand Sail Grand Prix. As they come to the finish line here in race number 1 in Sydney, and the wind will go the way of the French, flying through the course, and they are going to take it to the finish, make it 2 for 2. The wind will indeed go to the French as they make it 3 for 3 in Sydney. All that matters right now is where is GBR in relation to France. It is 1st and 9th as it stands on the table. Coming into this event, it was France that had a 1-point lead on Great Britain, but after yesterday's performance, Great Britain took that spot away, and now they are into the grand final.
Australia have got to keep clear here. New Zealand stay on the foils. What do Australia do? They're going to struggle to stay foiling on board Australia. On the inside, it's New Zealand. New Zealand, if they can get over that, wow, no. Slingsby holds on. He leads at Mark 5.
The Australian dynasty is still intact, and the three-peat is now complete.
We're super happy and super proud to win the Impact League. It's something we really worked hard on.
Focus on the fact that we do what we can to race as fast as possible, but at the same time, it's possible to help saving the ocean.
It's hard, you know, we're not at the top of the fleet. It's hard not to put this German team as the boat of the day for me. I mean, they've just done a fantastic job. They've really delivered a good performance on a day where I thought they could have easily hidden back.
First time in SailGP history, the young team from Spain will bring it home, and they will claim the victory here in Los Angeles. Spain is the winner of the Oracle Los Angeles Sail Grand Prix. Absolutely stood and delivered at the most critical time as Sir Ben Ainsley, Hannah Mills, the rest of the crew delivered a masterful performance just when you thought they were out. Emirates GBR comes sailing back and they pass the Flying Ruse. Give the win to Emirates GBR in Saint-Tropez.
Turns out they've still got it, Todd.
From a penalty in the start box to victory by a massive distance. Look at this. And it'll be celebrations for the Stars and Stripes as Jimmy Spithill and company, four-person crew, Stevie, they get it done. They took the chance with Jimmy Spithill driving and flying the boat. Gonna be tight at the corner. Who's gonna give way?
Canada have got to give room to Australia and to New Zealand. Oh, there's going to be protests here, Todd.
This is the umpires. Penalty Canada, relative Australia not giving mark room.
And look how close they are.
Dive on the inside.
Just meters away as they come to the finish line. Who's going to have the pressure to win it? As they come up, look how close this is.
Oh, it's a laughing. New Zealand have got to keep clear of Australia now, and Canada on the outside, but they should have a penalty.
Canada crosses the line. Now who turns the boat? And it looks like the Emirates winning moment will go the way of the Kiwis.
I don't know. There's lots to be answered. Craig Mitchell's going to decide this.
And that is just the appetizer for 2024 as we gear up for the second half of Season 4 here. This is event number 7, the Mubadala Abu Dhabi Sail Grand Prix. One race complete in a slight wind hold as we hope for pressure to build a little bit more out on the course so we can see exactly what these amazing foiling F-50 catamarans can do with the world's best sailors. There you see Canada getting themselves ready to go for race number 2 in position. They finished 3rd officially on that first race, and we will now go down and talk with their skipper, Phil Robertson, and crew. And well, Phil, you guys had a great race. It looked like you had secured 2nd place. Your thoughts on that penalty, if you'd like to share your opinion?
Not sure you want to hear my thoughts on that. Now, look, yeah, obviously a little bit disappointing, but hey, it is what it is. You got to try and play to what the umpires see, and they see something very different to what we see. So look, I need to do some learning, obviously.
Well, it was certainly looked pretty tight in there, Phil. But as you were coming into that bottom mark, we heard you actually get on the phone to your coach, Philippe Presti. Is that something now that's a real feature of the racing on board, that you can get the coach to really give you that level of detail mid-race?
Yeah, it is. They're our eyes in the sky, effectively. So they're looking at everything, and yeah, it's quite a long conversation we have with them around the course. They're effectively on the boat and acting as a strategist as well. So it's quite cool. It's a cool little feature.
Phil, looking at light winds possibly throughout the rest of the day, how critical is this next race, and especially the start?
The start's almost everything. So if you're in the first 2 in this course, you should be able to get away with this little zigzag that we do reach to reach. And yeah, it's light, so yeah, it's even more important. Unfortunately, it's a little bit light to get foiling, but yeah, it seems to be all right now. Fly a big hull.
Nice, thanks. For last question, just to Paul Campbell-James, it looks a little bit like a real wing trimmer's day out there. You've got that massive wing, there's not an awful lot of wind. How hard is it to actually keep that thing working efficiently?
Every day's a wing trimmer day, Stevie.
Effectively, it's all on the wing trimmers.
It's obviously pretty important, and the other big thing about these wings is there's a lot of momentum. So when you can lean the boat over a long way, it stays there, you know, where with the little wing, it will want to come upright very quickly. So you can do a little bit with the extra heel, which is a feature that you only really get with this wing. And that's why you see some of the mark grounding, some of the boats getting massive heel, and we even did it on the start line there. So yeah, it's an interesting feature of this big wing.
Paul, we appreciate your time. Phil, go out there and give them the business if you can in race number 2. We appreciate the Canadians taking their time to speak with us here with 4:20 to go before race 2. Well, I thought he did a great job, Lisa. Phil holding his tongue there a little bit. I think maybe afterwards during the debrief he might be, you know, maybe share his thoughts a little bit more. But that penalty for me seemed like it came a little bit late. It looked like they had cleared, they were good to go, and then the penalty hits right before they cross the line.
I mean, sometimes the umpires do just need to discuss these things, make sure they're making the right decision, and ultimately, at the end of the day, it is their call. They've got so many screens, all of the data coming live off the boats. They've got a much better view of it than we do here in the booth, looking at.
From the umpires, they do see in a lot more detail than us, and you know, Phil's just built to push the envelope on those rule situations. I'm a little bit. I think they're consistent. Yeah. I'm not saying we'd have a saying Robbins Racing, but Robbins Racing is not the saying in SailGP. We've got to have that little bit of space. We've got to have that little bit built in, and it's tight calls. But I'm not saying I necessarily totally agree with Craig Mitchell and his team, but what I do agree with is I believe they're consistent on that particular call, as they were with the start line call for Emirates Great Britain in Dubai. I mean, thought that was harsh, but it was consistent.
Well, there is the boats getting themselves into the position as we get a good look and a beautiful sitting here for the Mubadala Abu Dhabi Sail Grand Prix. There is the coaching area that Phil chimed into.
Look at that, top right, Todd. Canada and Australia sat next to each other. It'll be quite interesting to know if Philippe Presti and Ben Durham actually got together and had a bit of a word about that penalty as well.
And there's the coaching area that they tapped into for the information via the Oracle Cloud. So right now, let's go down and check in with Lisa Darmanin. All important conditions is what everyone wants to know. Lisa, give us the good word.
Well, we're going to see pretty much the same thing in race number 2. So really looking for that H1 mode. The teams have been setting up. I've been trying to run around and grab as many interviews as possible. But, with 5 minutes to go, they're already setting up for their start. So couldn't quite get another one for you there. But the teams are setting up. This start is going to be absolutely critical. And, yeah, not super windy out here. If I'm looking at it now, I think a little bit more pressure has come from the left-hand side as the wind has rotated right. So a bit more funneling. So over to you guys to take us through this start.
Not quite the good word I was looking for, Stevie. I was hoping for big wind building, but that's okay. We are 93 seconds away from racing race number 2 here. And Stevie, I wonder if they've learned their lesson, all these teams, because last race they really crowded that line early, and it seemed like everyone was almost hitting the brakes to back off.
I think there's an element of that, but I just think in this light winds, if you're at the front, you want to have a forward position to try and hold control of things.
So 1:10 to go before the start of race number 2 here in Abu Dhabi. The winners of race number 1 were New Zealand, Australia, and Canada. The top 3, exactly how it went down at the last race in Dubai.
I think the interesting thing, the tricky thing perhaps on this, Scott, Lisa talked about the wind shifting. That means the way they can line up towards the start line is different. The winds was coming from more of the bottom right-hand side of our screen. It's now coming from the bottom left-hand side of the screen as you look at it. So that means their angle is a lot more up the line. They're all almost sailing parallel to that start line. They're able to be really, really close, barely making any process. I quite like where Denmark is at the moment. New Zealand, well, he's on a wing and a prayer out the back there. He needs a hold to open up, but he should be able to be fast at the start line. 25 seconds to go. Denmark look well positioned. France and Germany have good control mid-line, but they're going to struggle to accelerate from there. Can New Zealand find a gap? I don't see a gap for them to go through right now. It's so congested at the bottom of the line. It's Denmark top of the line looking for a quick acceleration. Germany, USA, how fast can they wind it up? Watch for the line to turn white, and we're going to be go on race 2 here in Abu Dhabi. Good start there. Germany, USA and Denmark. Denmark are already hull up. USA are hull in the air. Germany have got the boat tipped over and reducing that drag already. It's now a sprint to Mark 1. USA and Denmark should be in good shape from here. But Denmark on the outside, they need to break clear of the pack or they'll be stuck on the outside of the turn. Can Spain accelerate and get in from there? New Zealand and Australia out the back. They got a job on.
The top 3 teams from race number 1 are representing the back 3 right now, with Emirates GBR also joining that party, and all eyes on mark number 1. The USA look to be in control of this one. Stevie, do they have the speed?
USA, they're not going to have the speed, but they've got the inside. They're going to have the right of way to turn at the mark. Denmark look like they're just clear ahead of Spain. 1 and 2 should be USA and Denmark. That was so tight. Spain will be able to go around here third, but for France now it's hard, and even harder for Switzerland. They're not entitled to turn on the inside. They're going to have to slow the boat. This is the handbrake turn. Denmark, round second. Oh, the breath of relief you'll be feeling on those first 2 boats now. But USA, is this the chance for Taylor Canfield to take his first race win in SailGP? You're not going to get a better chance than leading at Mark 1.
No higher for me, no higher. No higher, it's just no wind.
Don't go any higher.
Victor Diaz, he's talking about there not being any wind. That's just because they're going back under the other boats. Those huge skyscraper 29-meter wings blocking the wind, but they'll be the first boat heading straight back towards the adrenaline lounge, straight back across the wind again here. Remember, it's a slalom start. They're going to sail across the wind one more time. First to get clear wind will be USA. That means they'll be first to accelerate, and look at the gap open up already. Big lead for USA, Denmark in second, but New Zealand and Australia. Consistency's going to be king today. And if you're not first, you're last on board New Zealand.
New Zealand, the winners of race number 1, find themselves in 10th place right now. Remember, we've got one more race still to go. You get 10 points for a win in these races, trying to build your account up to make the top 3 after 5 fleet races. The Americans now out in front. Get to know the names: Taylor Canfield, Sarah Stone, Victor Diaz de Leon. They are on board that team. Gone is Jimmy Spithill. They've revamped that squad. Spithill now trying to develop a team for Italy, and now it is the Americans leading. Nathan Outteridge and the Danes in second, and Spain sitting in third.
Right turn here now. The course opens up for these boats. Look at the view for the fans there. There's no ripples on the rosé on that shoreline, but they're going to be getting pretty excited seeing these F50s coming so close by them in the adrenaline lounge there. Incredible view for the fans as we see. First to turn, USA. Don't be surprised to see Rockwool Denmark try and turn inside, and Spain to try and turn inside them. It's about now finding clear wind, trying to keep the speed, and for those first boats, it's good shape, but look, still out the back. And now a long way behind Australia, New Zealand, Canada and Great Britain. They've got to turn things around.
It's a really difficult manoeuvre there after that second mark, because you're manoeuvring in all of that disturbed air, but also really trying to push to get that boat back into that H1 mode and continue that lead for those first boats. But when you're manoeuvring down there, you're dropping to 5 kilometers an hour of boat speed.
When we talk about H1, what a great view that is there. They've got one of the 2 hulls on these F50s up in the air. If you do that, you halve the drag from the boat, so that's going to mean you're a lot faster. Of course, what we want to see is none of the hulls in the water, Todd, but today, Mother Nature's just not delivering us that. It's delivering us a tactical battle. It's delivering us a real street fight on the start line. And here we go. Taylor Canfield, USA. Keep it simple, stupid. Turns right. Going to stay in clear wind. To the right of your screen, where Spain are turning now, they're going to have to sail back through the disturbed wind. It's being blocked by all those F50s. There'll be less wind where Spain are, but it's a short-term loss. Will it be a long-term gain?
Stevie, and for some of these teams like New Zealand, like Australia, like Canada, who won the first race, were in the top 3, now they're in damage control because they are losing valuable points, finishing 8th, 9th, possibly even 10th. For the Americans, who finished in 9th in the first race, this is a big opportunity for them to add some points to their account.
I think this is going to be the story of the weekend, Todd. Ultimately, when we get to Sunday and we get to making it to those final 3 places, it's an average of your points over the weekend. Consistency's the king. So I think what will define the weekend is who can turn a bad race into a good race. Now, Canada did a phenomenal job of that in race 1. They were coming 5th, 6th, and they turned it into a 3rd. Could have been a 2nd. But yeah, Denmark, suddenly that result they got in race 1, where they got a 5th, to have a 2nd now, suddenly it looks pretty clever. USA, bad first race, good second race. Their average is okay. It's all about averages, but the real battle will be who can turn a 9th into a 6th, who can turn an 8th into a 6th, a 5th, who can make those little gains around the racecourse, because the opportunities are very, very limited when you're stuck back in the pack.
2, 1, backing out.
And here from our Oracle Cloud data, we can see that the US on the bottom of the screen, 10 kilometers an hour of breeze. Spanish have gone right close into shore and only have 8k an hour of pressure there. So they're going slower, but they're taking it right up into the shore to see if they can make the next gate in only 1 maneuver. Now, we saw them at the bottom of the course do that extra maneuver while the Americans continued on straight, which was very costly, but clearly thought they might get a bit more pressure out that side.
And you weren't kidding when you said the Spanish were taking it right against the wall. They went and gave full Instagram moments for a lot of folks.
Maybe they missed lunch, Todd. They were trying to
drive-through service.
Yeah.
So leg 4 of 6. It'll be through the next gate up here, then down to the bottom of the course, and then a left-hand turn to the finish line. The Americans in control of this one. There you see the lead right now coming up on about 100 meters with Denmark in second place. Spain coming in on that left side of your screen. But it is the Americans in complete control of this race. And a great job by Taylor Canfield. We heard from all the drivers, the start is the key, and he took that to heart.
He started really well, and as I say, I think, you know, Taylor Canfield, this whole crew is a hugely talented crew. The big question for them is going to come when we get to Sydney, when we're in a fast, high-speed foiling event. This is kind of in his wheelhouse. Displacement sailing, a little bit slower, tactical racing. It's perfect for them coming in SailGP. The questions are going to come when we get to Sydney. How can they handle the F50 when it's doing 80, 90 kilometres an hour, not 20? But Spain, big gain on that upwind. There was more wind, as Lisa said, in by the fans on the shoreline there. So it's a gain for Spain. Right of way with France versus Denmark, but Denmark look like they're clean ahead. Still consistency's king, but Diego and that Spanish crew, they need a good one after a last in race one.
So you got to ask the question now for Spain, Stevie, as they went towards the wall, as Emily pointed out, is the juice worth the squeeze? I mean, did they sacrifice so much more now and it's going to pay off with the side?
Well, that's right. It's always a compromise. Do they go back where they found more wind, which was by the left-hand side of our screen, where the US team are at the moment? What they've done is they've chosen to do less maneuvers. Every time you turn the boat through the wind, be that going into the wind or away from the wind, you lose distance, roughly 6 seconds, 7 seconds of speed. And in this light winds, to re-accelerate is so hard.
We had a nightmare just now on the left-hand side of the course for the Americans. So the British team, they're coming on the previous leg towards the American team, and they have right of way. So the Americans had to maneuver to get around them, and in doing so, drop down to 5 kilometers an hour.
Look how slow they still are.
So that could be a huge gain to that Spanish team on the far right.
And this would be a monster gain for Spain. Remember, they finished dead last in race number 1, with the Americans just ahead of them in 9th. So both of these teams scrapping for those points with a third race still on the schedule.
So when they, here we go, Taylor, let's hear what he says.
Miles in front of us here.
Well, I'm not sure about that, Taylor, to be perfectly honest. And right of way at the moment sits with USA. So if it's close, Spain have got to keep clear of the US. And we know Taylor's a 2-3 times world match race champion. He is not going to be afraid of an aggressive move. Spain start to turn the boat up. They accelerate. They're going up to H1. They're going to be a lot faster than USA, but they've got to go round the outside of them here. Here we go. Look at the speed difference from lifting that hull out. Maneuver by the USA. They hold that inside position. They're going to block the wind to Spain, but can Spain get round? They've fallen off that mode quite slowly there. They're going to slow as they drop a hull in, but can they get round the outside of the USA? Massive moment for the US team here. I think they've turned that US boat quite early if they want to be fast in.
Trying to get to that circle first to see who has priority. It looks like Spain is going to get over the top of them.
Well, USA are going to have the right of way if they can get there, but Spain are so much faster. And look at that gap. That is not a Phil Robertson-sized gap. That's massive. So we shouldn't hear from Craig Mitchell on this one. That's a big gap. For Phil, looking at the debrief later, that's a big gap. You're not going to get the umpires involved on that, but yeah, Spain.
Diego Botín and the Spanish, who saved their best for last as they come in on the penultimate leg, and they get around the Americans, who had more than a 100-meter lead, but it will be Spain that will pick up the victory here, barring any major incident. The USA will come into second, which is a great finish for them. They'll have a second to go with their 9th, but it is Spain that comes back from dead last in race number 1. The Spanish claim the win in race number 2 here in Abu Dhabi.
Well, right now, Spain, who were last in race 1, and New Zealand, who were first in race 1, are last in race 2. So it shows us it's going to be a bit of a street fight. It's going to be hard work out there, but that was a horrible, horrible moment there as we see back in the pack. The US, well, they've done well with second, but look, France have put an aggressive attack on board the Danish here. We didn't see how this situation evolved. If France were overlapped with Denmark, then Denmark need to give room to France. By the way Denmark are sailing, I think they probably were. That must have been an aggressive move by the French there. Really pushing hard, and how important are these points going to be when we get to the end of the weekend?
France finishing 4th in race number 1. This would give them a 3rd in race number 2, so th'd have a great average with that 4 and 2. Denmark finished 5th, so Stevie, probably a smart move by Nathan Outers not to fight with Quentin Delapierre and the French to battle and possibly get a penalty. He says, oh, you know, I'll take the 4th, that's fine.
Well, Nathan, if he's got anything, he's got a bit of Asian experience on his side, that is for sure. He knows these mistakes you can make. You can be too aggressive in this light winds. Quentin was aggressive, he made it work for him. That played out, but Nathan, the Danish crew, clearly missed that first move by the French. A little bit slow to react. Perhaps that's a sign of a new crew coming together, but yeah, don't then throw away more. If you've lost 1, don't turn that into losing 3. Germany up to 5th. Consistent day for Eric Heil. He'll be in the mix.
Canada salvaging them, or they were back in 8th place. Now they're up to 6th place as France comes through to claim that top 3 position. Nathan Outeridge filling in for Nikolai Sehested at the wheel. He brings it across in 4th place, with the Germans now looking at 5th.
We've got a match race between Australia and New Zealand here. Tom Slingsby trying to push the Kiwis off the course. He's trying to stop the Kiwis getting an overlap into this mark here. They're going to go off to the left of our screen. Here you go, Australia turns.
Look at this.
Oh, New Zealand have to turn away and actually turn the boat all the way through the wind because they were worried about ending up in a crash with Emirates New Zealand. Look at that, aggressive from Slingsby, and that's how important. It's still 1 point. It might be 9th and 10th, but it's still better off to have 9 points. Sorry, to get the 1 point at the back there.
And I'm sure Tom Slingsby was just telling Pete Burling, just, hey, it's good to be back at SailGP. Just want to come over and say hello. Give him a little La Cheeserie.
Oh, I'm sure it would have been a very friendly exchange out there. There's no doubt about that, Todd. Tricky there on board Emirates Great Britain. That's a couple of races in the pack now. They look good in practice, but little mistakes. Not quite hitting the start can make a big difference. And yeah, you know, they're going to get a point advantage by being ahead of New Zealand. By doing that for Australia, every point is going to count when we come to adding them up tomorrow before the final race.
So Australia and New Zealand, they were the top 2 teams in race number 1. They're the bottom 2 teams in race number 2, Stevie. They are even on points now.
I can't wait to see the results. I know we've only had 2 races, but I think you'll find everyone's within a couple of points.
Yeah.
Everyone's had a good one, everyone's had a bad one. And there's just going to be a couple of teams.
And as we've said before, how bad is your bad one as we get to Sunday?
Exactly. How bad is your bad one? How do you turn a bad one into a good one?
I would have been past us otherwise.
So Australia will bring it across in 9th place with the winners of race number 1, the Kiwis, and the winners of the last event in Dubai. Here in Abu Dhabi, they finish in 10th place, and that's just how quick things can turn in SailGP. Winners of race 1 finished dead last in race number 2, and that sets up the all-important 3rd and final race of the day, which is coming up shortly.
So one of the most important things we are seeing out there today is the importance of keeping it clean. They cannot afford to get penalties out on the water today and maneuvering as much as they can to avoid it, especially at these marks. So the Spanish had a really nice clean rounding. They managed to get round just ahead of the French and Germans and cut straight in front of the French team there as they had the rights. That meant the French, you see them here doing this little wiggle to slow themselves down, doing everything they can not to run into the Spanish in front of them because they're faster. But by keeping it clean, it allowed them to sail as fast as they can to Mark 2 and ultimately get that 2nd place.
Wow, and it was a tight race. The USA, it looks so good for Taylor Canfield and this new USA crew, but an unforced error on that downwind. They got tangled up with the fleet coming back upwind. It's a small race course. You've got to have your head on stalks out there. Diego Botín, well, he sailed very much with the attitude of I'm going to sail on my own, I'm going to sail in space, I'm going to try and sail fast. We've seen that. If you can stay in cleaner winds, you're going to sail around quicker, and Spain did that so well. It meant they really minimised their manoeuvres out there on the course. Got round the outside of USA, and if there was a clutch race where you needed to deliver, Diego Botín and that Spanish crew, this could be a massive race in their season. They managed to turn things around from a loss in race 1. They got a win. Can they keep the momentum going? They need it.
And here are our numbers straight from the Oracle Cloud. The Spanish team taking the highest average speed with 17.6 kilometers an hour and also sailing one of the shortest distances at 2.9. Now, still, none of the teams foiling out there, so it's all about that balance between speed and distance, but also keeping the maneuvers down wherever possible. The US team did have one of the higher numbers of maneuvers, but ultimately it allowed them to sail into more pressure and keep hold of the lead for most of the race.
So let's take a look at those standings right now after 2 events. And how about this, Steve? We just said it's going to be all over the place. Look at the logjam. Pretty much 8 teams in the running, all of them separated by 4 points from 15 to 11. Right now it is France, Rockwell, Denmark, and Canada, your top 3 teams. So if this was the end of the 5 races, those would be the 3 teams in the event final. But 2 points out, you've got Spain, USA, Germany, Australia, New Zealand, all with a chance. Emirates GBR on the outside looking in, and of course Switzerland starting down some points early because of the contact in practice racing. They got a bit of a hole to dig out. But wow, that sets us up for a very exciting 3rd and final race on the day. Right now we go down on the water. Germany having a pretty solid day today. They finished in 6th in race number 1. They finished in 5th in race number 2. So it is stock up for the Germans. We're now joined by Stuart Biffle and their skipper Eric Heil. Eric, we'll start with you. Crazy conditions out here. It's light, but it's tricky. How key is it for you guys in that start, because you've had 2 good starts in a row?
I mean, our first start was very, very bad, but we're still working on it. But we had good recovery skills and yeah, more Olympic racing on the race course by now.
And Eric, it's obviously quite light winds out there. We know you got Stuart Biffle. You talked about the Olympic racing. You were great rivals, of course, in the 49er class at the last Olympics. But how important is that wing trimming role? It looks so easy to really slow the boats and stop the boats, but the launch at the start must be massively dependent on the wing trimmers.
Yeah, let's say yes. I think so. It's, I mean, 100% agree. It's super tricky to get the boat in the air and to keep it there, and that's what we are all aiming for here, to keep as much flight time as we can for H1, and I think the boat who does it the best wins.
Well, a quick correction, Eric. Terrible start on race number 1. Great start on race number 2, but as you said, great recovery skills. So with this 3rd and final race, with you guys in the mix in the points, how important will be the start for you on race number 3, and how much do you have to push it to make sure you're in a top 5 position?
Yeah, important thing for the race, I guess. Yeah, especially because of the slalom course, you don't have much. We were pretty happy that we got a few mark room situations for us, and but yeah, it be the most important one.
Well, I think thanks very much for joining us there, Eric. Real good insight, and get yourself ready for this 3rd race. Is Stuart around on board? Can we chat to Stuart at all? I don't know if you can hear us, mate.
Mate, he's not jumped off the boat, mate.
Good to hear from good to hear from you, Stuart.
All right, so that's the situation right now. The teams all piled up, Stevie. You've really got 8 teams that are really battling for those top 3 positions. Remember, it's the top 3 after the end of 5 races, and that will get you into the event final. Spain, the big winners in race number 2, after finishing in 10th in race number 1. We set it down on the water, and Lisa Darmanin.
Well, Diego, congratulations. It's always nice to bag a win, but it looks so challenging out here.
Yes, it definitely is. We were last in the first race, first in the second race. Also, a lot of people from the front of the first race were last in the second one. So this is how tight it is. It's actually non-foiling, but super tight and super stressful in here. So yeah, it's nice to feel this stuff even if we are not foiling.
And you went so close to that seawall, to the adrenaline lounge, trying to get back in the game, I guess. Do you think there's better breeze over there, or is it changing every leg?
Yeah, I think it's changing a bit. Yeah, it's shifting a lot, and yeah, definitely we need to be eyes open.
And in that last turning gate, obviously the USA went quite early, and you guys were flying on hull and had a bit more speed. Do you think you put the pressure on them there?
Yeah, I think we were in the stronger position, and we kind of pulled it off, what we had to do, and yeah, it's amazing to get a win in those conditions, and yeah, we need to focus in the next one now.
And how are you feeling about the next race?
Again, this is a big battle. Like, we are all fighting for every inch, and yeah, cannot predict anything. Just be concentrated and do our best.
Well, we'll let you prepare, and thanks for chatting, Diego. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
And our thanks to Diego Botín for his time with Lisa Darmanin as the team gets ready. Stevie, we got a little bit of a gap here. Everyone's going to kind of stretch their legs just a little bit, and then it's all on for this 3rd and final race.
Well, they've taken some learnings, but as Diego says, the pitch is changing all the time. So there's lots to learn, but you just got to deal with what you got in front of you.
Well, for those broadcasters around the world that will not be staying with us till the very end, we understand you can get more information and results on our website and social media. Remember, this is the Mubadala Abu Dhabi Sail Grand Prix presented by Abu Dhabi Sports Council. One more race still to go, and we'll have those results for you shortly. So the third and final race until we get ready for Championship Sunday. Remember, it's 3 races today, then 2 more fleet races tomorrow, and then only the top 3 teams will race for the event title. Todd Harris, Emily Nagel, Stevie Morrison, and Lisa Darmanin with you. And the light winds have made things a little tricky, Emily, but it has not made for lack of drama in this racing.
No, and it never does. As we saw back in Dubai, some of the best moments can be in these light wind scenarios because the boats can be so close together and it's still super tactical, trying to get penalties on each other and really make the most of every single gust that comes their way.
There you see the Danes with Nathan Outeridge filling in for Nikolai Sehested, who's stepped aside for the birth of his first child as we send it down on the water now. Lisa, we keep coming to you for the promise of great news and big wind. You have not delivered that as of yet, so I won't put the spotlight on you, but what are you hearing around the fleet and what are we anticipating for the rest of the day?
I mean, we're going to see pretty much the same, and I know it's not the high-octane speed racing that we are all used to and we all love, but from what I'm hearing from the drivers, it's still so intense and there's still so much to play for. I think when things are changing so rapidly, it's very streaky with the pressure, so there is opportunities to overtake, but, you know, like Diego was saying, they were last and first, but, you know, a 5th is actually a real keeper in this stuff, so it is super challenging, not as exciting to watch from a speed perspective, but tactically, there is so much going on out here, and I think really it is testing the sailors, and that's why these guys are the best sailors in the world. We want to see them sail in 50 kilometers per hour of wind, and we want to see them try battle it out in the light breeze. So yeah, we'll take this one and see who comes out on top at the end of the day, because it's going to be tough.
And in 10 seconds or less, Lisa, is there a favored side of the course?
Oh, I'd still go do the flyby at the Adrenaline Lounge, I reckon.
So the Adrenaline Lounge, Stevie, is the place to go. We already knew that, but for the sailors, as we saw in the last race, Spain, Emily, you called it out. Spain went so close, like they're going through a drive-through window at in and out, and they made it work as they turned that into a victory in race number 2. Do you think that's going to hold true?
Well, we'll have to wait and see, but one of the benefits of what they did, they had to take it close to the wall so that when they did their maneuver, they'd be on the ley line for that top gate. If they went any earlier, they would have had to do an extra maneuver at that top gate.
Well, as everyone gets themselves into position, and we are still more than 4 minutes away from the third and final race of the day here in Abu Dhabi, we get an opportunity to go down on the water. And how often do you get a chance to talk with the wind whisperer, Nathan Outeridge, filling in for the Great Dane, Nikolai Sehested, all on his boat. Nathan, first of all, good to have you back in SailGP. These are your conditions. These are your people. How are you feeling out there?
Yeah, thanks, guys. It's good to be back again. It's been a while. It's obviously light and tricky out here, and we're trying to plan this next start. But yeah, so far going well. The team's doing a great job, and hopefully we can convert another good race coming up.
Nathan, yesterday it was pretty clear that you didn't seem to be able to get off the start line for love nor money, but a clear change of strategy towards the top end of the start line. Is that where you see is just the safest option, or are you seeing that as the optimal option?
Just trying to find where fresh air is, to be honest, Stevie. Plenty of advice overnight from a lot of people, and Nikolai gave me his 2 cents, and so far so good, but trying to focus on this next one, mate, so keen to get into it if I can.
Nathan, for those people watching around the world, I guess we can just ask you how good your Danish is, but how hard is it to give yourself integrated into a team that you haven't been around with a lot in such a short amount of time?
Yeah, it's definitely not easy, but the team's made my life quite easy. Yeah, as I said, yeah, starting was pretty bad yesterday, and we've done a pretty good job so far to have a good start, and yeah, hopefully we can just get off the line a little bit better in this one and go one better. But anyway, keen to focus, guys. We're racing pretty much at the moment, but yeah, well, hopefully we can chat to you after this race, after we have a good one.
All right, appreciate your time, Nathan. Denmark with a 5th and a 4th. A first place, Stevie, would do them so well, or even a top 3 in this third and final race.
Yeah, I think you'd be pretty happy with a top 4, top 5. Just get a consistent one in the bag, go to sleep, rest easy.
And now we have the opportunity to go into the coaches area. As we've shown you before, we've taken all the coaches off the water as part of the sustainability program. We now have them on shore. And we go on to GBR as we have their coaching staff. And guys, Rob, we'll start with you. What are you looking for here in this third and final race of the day?
They've got broadcast in their ears.
Rob, can you hear us?
I need to get rid of that. Yeah, I can.
You got that character next to you, so can you tell us anything about what you're anticipating for this third and final race? I guess that's a no. So we're going back as Emirates GBR looking very good right now as they try to put themselves into position. They come into the box hot, Stevie. We're under 140 now to go before the start of the third and final race.
Yeah, and I think to explain just what happened there, our comms were going through on the boat as well. So that wasn't Rob and Ben being rude. That was just, you know, we needed to give the sailors on board a bit of space to prepare. As we can see, 90 seconds now or under to the start. And this pre-race waltzing dance manoeuvres has been happening nearly 3 or 4 minutes. You could hear the strain almost in Nathan's voice 4 minutes out. And that's because decisions you make 4 minutes before the start will affect where you're positioned now. As we come back to the start, Germany, they're in a lot of space. Nathan, well, he's done the right job. He's already leading the fleet back, similar to where he was before. So they're all positioned now. How does this last 60 seconds play out?
1 minute to the start.
1 minute away from the third and final race of the day here at the Mubadala Abu Dhabi Sail Grand Prix. And right now it's anyone's game, everyone in the hunt right now. We've had 2 races, topsy-turvy, with New Zealand winning the first race, finishing 10th in the second race. Spain in 10th in the first race, winning the second race.
Right, here we go. We can see that blue turquoisey arrow on there. That's where our computer system, our data tells us the optimum place to start. If you start there at speed, you have the best angle and the best speed relative to the distance to Mark 1. However, the wind is coming from the bottom of our screen, blowing down. Anyone towards the top of our screen risks being in disturbed wind from those boats. You're safer at the top of the line, but you're going to have more distance to sail. Canada, they're early here, 16 seconds to go. Denmark well positioned, Great Britain well positioned. It's all about timing now. New Zealand out the middle of the line again. Who's got their timing right? No room for Germany at the top of the line here. White's going to turn, line's going to turn white here, and watch for them out the middle of the line.
Wind angle.
Perfect from Emirates, Great Britain there at the start. Canada get off the line well, so does Denmark. New Zealand are in the optimum position if they can accelerate in the middle, though. They're going to have less distance to sail, and they've got a chance to be on the inside.
So Emirates GBR put themselves in a perfect position here in the third and final race. Their new driver, Giles Scott, at the helm, stepping in for Ben Ainsley. Now, can they turn this into something special? Coming up on mark number 1.
I like where Spain are at the minute, Todd. They've accelerated so well, and they're on the inside. They own the corner as they get to Mark 1. Denmark, GBR, Switzerland are all trapped outside. It's going to be Spain first. New Zealand are entitled to go round second. They're going to have to work hard. USA on the inside. Wow, there's some tight overlaps. I'm not sure if USA have got room in there, but Taylor Canfield, he's going to drive it like he stole it. He spins the boat inside. Has he got the right of way? We'll find that out afterwards. But Spain, New Zealand, take a breath, relax on board those boats. You got the lead. That's all you could want at this point. As Australia and Slingsby finds himself at the back of the gun, and he's not entitled to get in ahead of the Canadians, I don't think. He had to be overlapped to be able to go round. Look how slow it is when you're in the pack.
So everyone comes to a screeching halt as they just sprint towards that Mark 1. Phil Robertson out there directing traffic, letting everyone know this is my space, please stay away.
Do some boards here.
Got to get the French room, mate.
Yeah, got it.
There you go. They're just trying to work out who's got the right of way to be in there. And as soon as you're on the outside, like Canada were, they went from hero to zero in a split second. And there's just so much disturbed wind, all hidden in behind those. But it's like being stood behind a skyscraper. You just don't feel the wind there is. But if you're in Spain, you're walking down the fresh country road in the breeze, sailing away.
And for Canada as well there, it's not just about avoiding that penalty with the French team. It's also about making sure that you're set up afterwards for a good run to the next mark. If they forced themselves around the outside and got stuck behind the French, then they'd still be in all of that turbulent wind. But by letting them go, they can sit behind and then a racing line to the next mark.
Yeah, great point, Emily, because look at 5th place Emirates Great Britain there. They've just gone off screen, unfortunately, but they're going to be in the disturbed wind of the whole fleet. Effectively, they've got less potential horsepower. There's only 10 kilometres an hour of wind. We can see that on our top left there. Anyone not in that train of boats is just going to be in even less wind, potentially only 50% of the horsepower that's available out there.
As they make the slow drive past the Adrenaline Lounge, it is Spain out in front. There you see the Kiwis in second, the two winners of the two races earlier, and then the Americans, Stevie. Keep an eye on Taylor Canfield and company. They're just sneakily having a good race here as we come into this third and final race of the day.
I'll tell you what we've seen in these first two events so far of the US team and Taylor Canfield. Taylor Canfield can start a boat.
Yep.
He has got off that start line very, very well. Victor's clearly learning the wing, and this is a great first day for them. As I say, we're in that slower tactical racing. It's good news for a new crew like that. As we see again, look, the disturbed wind, look how slow Emirates Great Britain are relative to those people in more wind, but it's going to be fighting hard. Can he stay ahead of Australia? No, he can't, but now the course opens up. This is the chance for Giles Scott and his crew to get back in the race. It's not going to be easy from here.
Inch 2 and soaking. Inch 2 soak.
Yeah, we've got 45 metres to the boundary, 40.
Warrington.
The boundary on the screen.
Comms on board Emirates GBRs. They go past the Adrenaline Lounge with plenty of fans there. And right now, they've got to find a way, Stevie, to get into damage control. They've got to somehow turn that 8th into maybe a 5th or a 6th. Even a 4th would be fantastic for them.
Yeah, they're just finding themselves on the outside of a lot of these turns, really. I'm surprised they didn't just spin the boat a bit quicker then, try and keep some clearer wind. They're once again on the downwind side of the French, on the downwind side of the Australians, they'll be in disturbed wind. So maybe they can cling on and dive inside at the bottom here. But right now, Spain, they've turned right. New Zealand, well, they're going back towards that side of the course where Spain made a big gain here. So it's going to be interesting how this one plays out. Spain, here we go. Look, right-hand side of our screen. Canada coming downwind. They turn towards New Zealand, and they're going to make a bit of a meal of that.
And here we've got it, there's live wind speed on the Spanish and Kiwi boats. So the Spanish currently in slightly less wind, 10 kilometers an hour. The Kiwis only have marginally more, but that's all it takes to get the hull flying and that little bit of extra speed.
Let's go kind of high, okay, slow.
Oh, he got his light wind mode back again. Right-hand side of screen, right on the Adrenaline Lounge is New Zealand. That was good news for the Spanish last time. Spain have split the course, though. They're trying to keep it simple out there. Who's got it right? I imagine both teams would be more than happy to get out of this with a first and a second, wherever they finished. But there's something nice about winning a race. And Spain, well, they've got that little mojo back.
Yeah, big trim, Yowie.
Vamos.
So Spain in first, New Zealand in second, the USA in third, then Switzerland and Great Britain right now, your top 5. Let's go down on the water. Lisa Darman, what are you seeing? And are you seeing any pressure building? Where is the favored side of the course?
So right now, the New Zealand team, they've got their hull out of the water, that H1 mode, compared to Spain on the other side of the course. The other thing is why I like New Zealand's strategy is they will turn left around this next gate, and they'll just have to do one more maneuver into the mark. So the pattern that they're doing in this race is what Spain did in the previous race. So to me, they did that rough maneuver down the bottom, and that's where they did the loss, but I think it will come into their advantage at the end. But now Spain has their hull up as well, so it's going to be super tight.
Almost identical to what we saw in the last race, Stevie, with New Zealand in the same position that Spain was in, and Spain in the position the Americans were in, and we saw that play out for Spain getting the victory.
Spain have definitely got to do 2 more maneuvers here. So do they do it early, right in front of New Zealand, and take the left turn and try and block the path of New Zealand, or do they do it later and split the course, head back towards the Nobu Lounge? Last time we saw the US chose to do the move late. Spain might do it early. Yes, look at that. They look to turn inside. They block New Zealand off. I think that's a strong tactical move. There you go. He's forced an extra maneuver onto New Zealand. Burling didn't want to follow in the disturbed wind. Great move by Diego Botín. He's really thought that one out there. He's done well. He now just has one more manoeuvre to do. New Zealand have 2 more manoeuvres to do. Tactical racing by the Spanish there. Saw it early. Nice move. But it's still going to come down to who finds the next big gust of wind. But for Spanish fans to see that hull up in the air, I think that's got to be pretty good news for the Spanish. Sailing away with just one more manoeuvre to do. Can they keep it clean on this downwind leg? Because New Zealand, they've got another 2 to do.
Spain already have winners of an event this year earlier in Los Angeles in the port of LA. So they're looking to make it 2. If they get a big victory here, that would give them 2 wins out of 3 races on day number 1. But remember, 2 more races coming tomorrow before we cut the fleet. And then it is USA in 3rd. Have they chosen wisely as they follow New Zealand? A top 3 finish for Taylor Canfield. The Americans would set them up nicely for tomorrow.
Yeah, and very different tactical situation as well, because they weren't in a boat on boat. They're just racing. Right. How do I sail smoothly and fast around the course? Probably is more efficient to do that turn when you're going downwind. Now, Spain had to do something. They at least forced the decision on Burling, so I like what the Spanish did, because otherwise it was an easy advantage. Burling, as we see now, the boats line up. Switzerland, Schneider, he needs a good race. He's getting a good race. Great to see from then Denmark, the wind whisperer Nathan Outridge. Well, he's scrapping in the middle of the pack again, but consistency's king. And now, as we see on our ladder lines down here, Botín and the Spanish crew look like they're ahead of New Zealand, but New Zealand have the right of way. If it's close, Spain have got to keep clear. But look at the speed, nearly 7 kilometers an hour faster on board that Spanish boat. And they're going to extend away as they head down the course here. Speeds on the top left and on the top of the wings. Just look at that lead drawing. Read well for the Spanish, and a hull up in the air. They've got one hull out of the water. They're going so much faster because of it. And look at that gain line extend out. 57, 58, 59. Big lead.
Spanish currently sailing at 24.5 kilometers an hour, while the Kiwis significantly slower at 18, showing just how big that difference is between that H1 mode and H2.
The big question is, Stevie, are they online to get around that gate? Can they take it in and just make that small final left-hand turn for the finish line?
They can go pretty slow at the end, but all I'd say is tactically now they're in a pretty unassailable position, because they'll be able to just go really slow, but they're on the inside of New Zealand now. I mean, not only have they got a big lead over New Zealand now, so that maneuver at the top,
move of the match.
Spain turning inside, that was great tactical racing, saw the opportunity, gave himself the chance. I'm going to lose early to gain long term, and that's so often the battle. So this Spanish crew here, sort of think of them as a bit of a young crew. They're not really that young anymore. They're top performers on the Olympic stage, and that was a top move against, well, let's face it, one of the greats of world sailing in Peter Burling and his New Zealand team.
And for Diego Botín and the Spanish, this will be back-to-back victories on day number 1. Good opportunity to wish Diego Botín a happy birthday, born on Christmas Day. Not this last one, but that's when his birthday is, on Christmas Day, and we haven't seen him since then. So the Spanish looking to make it 2 wins in a row, and New Zealand, they'll do a great job of salvaging this, Stevie. Even though they'll finish in 2nd place more than likely, they'll have a 1st, a 2nd, and then that one bad race, the 10th. All credit, though, goes to Spain. The move of the match coming on the penultimate leg as Spain gets the win again in race 3.
Good to see here that USA has held on to that 3rd place position. Really impressive day from them, you know, new team, and really just giving the other teams a run for their money.
Did not start out well for the Americans. They finished 9th in race number 1. They came back for the 2nd in race number 2, and it looks like they're going to get a 3rd here in race number 3. And to Stevie's points, all about the averages. You need to get your point average being, and 10 points for the winner. Americans are going to love these points.
Well, they just started well, Todd. I mean, like I said, you know, he has come in and he has dominated. Not dominated is not the right word. He has started very well in an environment where starting's king.
Peter Burling will come across with New Zealand finishing in 2nd place to go with that 10th in race number 2 and 1st in race number 1. The Americans looking good in race number 3. Again, their account looks like this: a 9, a 2, and a 3.
It's going to be tight back in the pack here, Todd. That's one thing I know for sure, and there's absolutely crucial points for the final. Good news for them, but here we go. Right-hand side of screen, Rockwall, Denmark. They are on the inside of Australia, Great Britain, but a long way away from each other. Canada, they spin inside. They own the mark. They're going to be very slow. There's going to be an absolute pile-up at that mark as we see the Swiss coming through in 4th. Good result, sorry, 3rd for the Swiss. Good result for them.
Probably going to go out again here.
It's fourth for the Swift, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
You can see Canada coming in
Swift
fifth here, and it's going to be an absolute pile-up. Australia have to go round the outside of Canada here. Replay of race 1.
Protesting that, not giving enough room.
Not enough room there, umpire. CJ, look at that. CJ and Phil Robertson asked the question. It's very like the situation in Mark 1.
Really close.
Coming up all the way.
Once they exit the mark, if they are still overlap, Canada have got to keep clear of Australia.
Come on, he stopped me sailing my proper course to the finish there, Craig. Good angle. He's forced me higher than my proper course. Up 5, please, Phil.
Phil Robertson getting pretty irate with the umpires here, and Paul Campbell-James calming him down. First hull up on board Australia. Canada's hull, that pops up out of the water now, and it's now a straight line sprint. Canada have got to be careful of Australia here, but he looks like he's done enough.
That, boys, was awesome. Nice work. Nice last run, mate.
And Canada gets 5th ahead of Australia, who finished in 6th. Emirates GBR will finish in 7th.
And you know why he said it was awesome? Because they were right at the back at Mark 1, weren't they? And look at that again. Harry Houdini mode on for the Canadians. Phil Robertson's dug them out of a hole. As Denmark in 8th. They're not going to like that. Denmark went backwards, Canada went forwards.
And look at this, the sprint to the very finish. And it looks like France is just going to edge out Eric Heil and the Germans.
This leaderboard's going to be so interesting to look at, Todd. It's going to be so tight. All going to be to play for tomorrow, that is for sure.
Great racing today, and the 2 big winners have got to be Spain and New Zealand as they take the top spots. Spain, though, winning races 2 and 3.
And it was all about the tricky slow boat tactics at this start line. See all the boats mostly paralleling the line, really trying to slow themselves down. Now the Spanish were the slippery ones here. There was no room for them initially, but as the other boats moved down the line, they managed to just get behind the USA boat and get to that start line just before the gun. When the gun went, the Spanish were less than a meter behind the line. Now they weren't the fastest boat on the course. That went to the Kiwis, but they were closest to this optimum point and they had a great angle to the line.
Well, and then when we see that laid out in front of us in numbers, it does give us a fairly clear picture again. Look how fast the Spanish managed to go, and I think a large part of that's just being out in front. They sail in clearer wind. You've got more horsepower available to you. New Zealand, well, they know how to sail less distance. That's one of their textbook moves, but it was a key manoeuvre late on. Made New Zealand have to do one more manoeuvre with that aggressive turn in by Spain at the top. Devil's in the detail for France and Germany. They've got to get that boat speed a bit faster.
Well, fleet race number 1, Stevie, not sure exactly what we're going to get, and everyone crowding at the line, but again, it was New Zealand putting themselves in the perfect position.
Yeah, I think they just seem to come dialed in. Emily's alluded to it a lot over the day already, is that just with this 29-metre wing, Blair Took, the wing trimmer on board that boat, has got a good handle of it. And another thing we learned on these slalom courses, you want to be in the lead at Mark 1.
No follow leader on that one as New Zealand just raced away with a massive lead to get the victory in race number 1. Quick turnaround for race number 2, and the Rolex best time start goes the way of the Germans. Eric Heil did not have a great start in race number 1, had a great start in the second going.
He did, he got off the line here. They're all learning, they're all talking with their coaches on the shore. Another thing we saw today was a lot of sailors, but it's just fine margins, and the US and Taylor Canfield, well, possibly the starter of the day overall on board that US boat. And we thought at this stage, here it is, Taylor, first race win in SailGP. But this moment here, they got tangled up with Emirates Great Britain on the left-hand side of our screen. They lost all their speed, and well, those Spanish, they know how to take advantage. Vamos Galos, and they did that indeed. They slingshot around the outside, went from a last in race 1, turned it into a win in race 2, got the wheels back on the wagon.
And in race number 3, the Spanish were back at it again. Emily, this time, obviously just taking a page out of race number 2. Get in front, stay in front.
Exactly, being in the front of the pack just meant you were so clear of all of these car parks, not having to deal with penalties, giving boats space. It just continued to stretch their lead.
And this was the moment here. Spain, it would have been easy for them to carry straight on or dip behind, try and keep their speed, but no, they turned the boat, they used the rules they had. Tactically aggressive move, forced New Zealand into 2 more manoeuvres, and that was the move there. Sharp work by Diego and crew.
So Spain wins 2 races on the day. As we take a look at the overall standings after 3 fleet races, it is Spain with a 1-point lead over the Kiwis, 21-20. Then you've got a pile up here with USA, Canada, both on 19th. France in there in 5th at 17, and then 2 teams on 16. So Stevie, for my money, you got to think that top 17 right now are the ones in the running. We got 2 more fleet races tomorrow. 7 teams still available for 3 spots.
Yeah, I think it's all on tomorrow, Todd. This is high scoring event, all to play for.
And there is Spain on the water. Congratulations to them as they will lead after day number 1. Lisa Darmanin with the big winners on day number 1.
Well, Florian, congratulations, 2 wins. That's awesome for a day like today.
Yeah, I think we had a good comeback on the day after finishing last and finishing off the day with 2 bullets. So yeah, for sure it's, I think, also a sign that we've been working a lot on these light wind conditions. And 4-up is a condition I think we feel quite confident in, and obviously we know it's all about getting a good trigger pull at the start, and we managed to do that in the last 2 races today.
And LA, we had the 29-meter wings, and you guys took the win. You must like this big wing.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I'm liking the power we get, the extra power we get out of the wing. So yeah, obviously as a wing trimmer especially, you have to trim them slightly differently, but that's also one of the nice parts of our job, not trying to adapt with whatever conditions we have and whatever gear we use.
And you've got to push the boat so hard to get it up and get that hull up out on the water. Are the grinders doing a good job helping you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've got, in this constellation, we've got Nick and Joey. They give their everything, they're 200%, and they finish the races fully dead and cooked. So yeah, it's for sure a team effort, and yeah, things are starting to get in place.
And tomorrow we're looking at similar conditions. Are you looking forward to that then?
Yeah, actually, I have to say, it's quite fun racing these boats in these conditions. So 2 more races, and who knows if maybe 3. We're just going to go race by race and yeah, focus on the starts and then just pull it off.
Well, thanks for chatting, and we'll let you pack up and hopefully chat to you tomorrow.
Thank you. Vamos. Vamos, gallos.
Thank you, Lisa. And with those results today, Emily Nagel, Spain has got to be one of your teams to watch for tomorrow.
Definitely. It's great to see them back on form. And, you know, our top 2 is our 2 light wind specialists, Spanish and the Kiwis. So we should have a good battle on our hands tomorrow.
Another team that's in the running right now, the Americans, looking very good. Had a tough first race, finishing in 9th place, but bounced back nice in race number 2 with a 9th and a 3rd in race number 3. So, Stevie, their average is very solid. We go down on the water now. Taylor Canfield and company. And Taylor, congratulations on a great day, surviving the light wind, all the delays. You guys held it together. What was the key, and what do you anticipate for tomorrow?
Yeah, thanks. Exciting day. It's obviously very variable out here, so, you know, head on a swivel, and yeah, happy with the day. Obviously got caught out a little bit in race start number 1, but yeah, you know, we made some adjustments, and it showed to be beneficial for the team moving on. So we're excited about it, and yeah, gonna go look at the data and put some more time in when we get on shore, but yeah, excited for more racing tomorrow.
Taylor, we've yet to see how you handle one of these things at 100 kilometers an hour, but you seem very good on the starts in this lighter conditions. Have you got a real plan, or are you just reacting on your feet at the moment out there? How are you dealing with these starts? Because you seem to have really got it dialed.
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to, you know, this is a lot more it's just displacement sailing like we do in, you know, any other catamaran class. So quite used to that scenario, and yeah, it'll change a bit, but you know, I think we've done a good job and practiced a lot, and we've watched a lot of video in all sorts of conditions, so we're ready for anything.
Taylor, thank you for your time. Congratulations to you, Victor, Sarah, the entire crew of USA. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow for 2 more fleet races on day number 2. Right now, everyone wants to know what the conditions are going to be like for day number 2, so we turn to Lisa Darmanin, our wind whisperer down on the water. Lisa, everyone's hoping for some big wins tomorrow. Probably not going to get it, though, are we?
No, we're going to see more of the same. The forecast is similar direction, so from the northwest, around 8 kilometers per hour, gusting to 15 kilometers per hour. But the real thing out here is just the trickiness of it all. It was so streaky today. There were really pockets of pressure across the course, and who found them really won. So I think tomorrow the teams are going to have to do a lot of homework overnight and try to figure out how to get off that start line, because we're going to see more of the same. Often we have one windy day, one light day, and they don't even bother to dive into the data too much. But I can tell you what, the coaches are going to earn their money today, trying to figure out how to get off the start line and get that hull up in the air as soon as possible.
All right, thank you, Lisa. Great stuff from you down in the water. Emily, put you on the spot from what you saw today. Who do you like for tomorrow?
I'm still going to back the Kiwis. I had a feeling going into this event they were going to do well, and so far they have held true to that, but the Spanish will give them a run for their money.
Surely, Stevie, you're going to be man enough to pick the Spanish.
Do you know who I think Canada? Phil Robertson normally is a really, really good starter. He didn't do a great job of getting off the start line today. If he can turn that around, they're definitely going fast.
So that'll wrap up our day one coverage of the Mubadala Abu Dhabi Sail Grand Prix. For Lisa Darmanin, Emily Nagel, Stevie Morrison, I'm Todd Harris. We will see you tomorrow. It is Championship Sunday for event number 7. It's a debut for the host city of Abu Dhabi.
I've got nowhere to go, Tom.
The Kiwis will claim race number 1.
It's a penalty. Keep it simple, stupid.
This would be a monster game for Spain.
Canada get off the line well. Great move by Diego Botti.
As Spain gets the win again.